Hey everyone, Scott the Scottman, and we are filming a driving video today. We're heading west on Interstate 90, or the Massachusetts Turnpike. We are just to the east of Springfield, Massachusetts, and we're going to be heading all the way to the Massachusetts-New York state border today. So this is going to be a longer driving video. It is a beautiful morning out. It's partly cloudy out, and it's a mild morning for mid-April. My current thermometer is reading 69 degrees Fahrenheit. Convert that to Celsius, it's just around 21 degrees. So yeah, we're seeing like a big warm pattern here in the Northeast right now. And heck, even where I'm from in Michigan, they're seeing a lot of warm weather as well. It's like, heck, I was in the Boston area yesterday. It was almost 90. And for mid-April, that's almost unheard of. So yeah, this is actually my first time on the western part of Massachusetts. Because I've never been really east of Interstate 495. Or I mean, west of 495. Because I've always been in Boston or anywhere along the coast. And then with my recent trip in Massachusetts, I was mainly in the eastern part. Boston, Cape Cod, Salem. Different areas outside of Boston. So it's like now I have to come back to the western side just because, yeah, I haven't checked out Springfield, I haven't checked out Worcester yet, and of course, and then later in the video we'll be driving through the Berkshires, or the Berkshires. So I think you can pronounce it either way. Okay, yeah, so make sure that car is able to get on, but yeah, there's nobody behind me, so it's like gotta make sure they can merge into traffic here. So yeah, right now we are in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is, I believe, is the largest city in the western part of Massachusetts. And then momentarily we'll be going over the Connecticut River. And yeah, when I went to Hartford, Connecticut last month for 90s Con, which yeah, I even posted like just a casual travel vlog of my time at 90s Con. It should be up on YouTube by now. But yeah, I remember when my flight was coming in from Detroit to Hartford, Connecticut, I could see Springfield from the airplane. Because a little cool fact is that the airport for Hartford, Connecticut is also the one for Springfield, Massachusetts. It's about halfway between Springfield, Massachusetts and Hartford, Connecticut. So it's like if you wanted to visit Springfield, you're going to want to fly to Hartford, not to Boston. All the way you can fly into Boston, just be a lot further. And it looks like we got quite a bit of road work up ahead. There. So yeah, I don't think there's no interchange with it, but yeah, we just went over I-291. Yeah, this is the heaviest traffic I've seen yet on the Massachusetts Turnpike, because I start off the morning from I-495 east of Worcester. Man, what's going on up ahead? Splitting off here. Yeah, I probably picked the worst lane to be in. Because if people are able to go 55, we're here. We're going 30 right now. Like, this is crazy. I think people are probably all going to I-91. So over here, this is the Connecticut River. This river heads all the way down to Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, all the way down to Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, I picked the wrong lane to go into. Oh, that barrel went. It's like that barrel went off its post. So over here, this is the interchange with I-91, which I-91 will take you south down to Hartford, Connecticut, and eventually down to New Haven, where it meets up with I-95 to go down toward the New York City area. I-91 North, that'll take you up into Vermont. And I think I-91 eventually goes up to, I think it goes all the way up into Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, here's I-91 itself. So yeah, 7 miles to Westfield, 35 miles to Lee, and then it's like, yeah. And then the first big city across the state line is going to be Albany, New York. We're not going to quite get to Albany in this video because, well, we're only going to the state line. But we should be there in about 42 minutes from now, so yeah. Again, so this is going to be like almost like a 45 to 50 minute long video. But it's okay just because we got a lot of nice scenery coming up here in the western part of the state, and I figured this would be a great way to talk about my time here in Massachusetts. So it's like, why not film a longer video today? But before I talk about the trip, so yeah, this is the Massachusetts Turnpike. This is entirely a toll, so I-90 in all of Massachusetts is a toll road. I-90 officially begins over by Logan Airport, east of the Ted Williams Tunnel. But one of these days I need to film I-90 or the Massachusetts Turnpike going through the city of Boston. So it starts off at Logan Airport, and then it goes under the Ted Williams Tunnel, which goes under the Boston Harbor. And then it goes under the city of Boston, because I-90 and I-93 generally go under the city. And then as you get outside of of downtown Boston, like generally once you get west of like where the Prudential Center is, like where Back Bay is, and kind of getting into the area where Fenway Park is, then I-90 comes out of the trenches, and you exit out of the city, and then start making your way out west. But yeah, the entire stretch of I-90 in Massachusetts is a toll road, and for the most part the same case with upstate New York, with the only exceptions of I-90 which are not tolled would be in the Albany area, although the I-90 does branch off the New York State Thruway. Well, technically the Berkshire connector for the New York State Thruway. So, oh, anyway, so I-90, so when it breaks off from the Thruway in Albany, that's toll-free, and then the area right in the Buffalo area, it's also toll-free. And then I-90 is a freeway in Pennsylvania, and then northeast Ohio, and then west of Cleveland, then it rejoins, or it joins up with Interstate 80 and becomes a toll road once again as it heads along the Ohio Turnpike and eventually the Indiana Toll Road, as I-90 goes all the way into Chicago. So it's like, yeah, and I think I-90 itself, I think, is even a toll road in areas of Illinois north of Chicago. So it's like I-90, a lot of it is a toll road going from Chicago all the way to Boston, with some areas that are free. So ideally, this is not the best, the fastest way home from or to Michigan. Well, it can be if you go through Canada, but I'd say the faster route would be is if I were to, like from Boston, for example, I would have wanted to get off at I-84 west of Worcester, taking I-84 over toward direction of Hartford, Connecticut, and then from there take it all the way over to the area of Scranton, Pennsylvania, then take I-81 down to I-80, and then taking that all the way west to Toledo, Ohio, go that way. And the nice thing about going that way is that the only tolled portions would be the part I'd have to drive in the Massachusetts Turnpike, and then also the bridge over the Hudson River near Fishkill, New York. So now we got some pretty scenery up ahead. But yeah, it's like I'll be doing a lot of beautiful driving, or beautiful scenic driving for a lot today, because I'm going as far as the Buffalo, New York area, and I'm going to be making a pit stop in Auburn, New York for a few hours. Which, yeah, a little fun fact, my late grandfather, or maternal grandfather, was born in Auburn, New York. And I have great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, great-great-great-grandparents who are buried in a cemetery in Auburn. Again, that's Auburn, New York, not Auburn, Massachusetts, because there is an Auburn, Massachusetts that's east of Worcester. But yeah, it should be a beautiful day. But yeah, I got very lucky with the weather on this trip. So I don't know what's up with me with doing big trips in April, but I've gotten lucky 2 years in a row, because around this time last year I was in England for a week and a half and it hardly rained. Where England's very notorious for England's very notorious for all the rain that they get, but not on the trip I did. It was quite dry. But I can't complain though, just because it was really nice. And I got to do a lot of things outside, which is great. And then same with this trip, although this trip I have not seen rain yet. Although there were a lot of clouds when I was in New York City, like the first night, because on my way to Massachusetts, I stayed the night in the New York area. But anyway, so yeah, I spent the past several days in Massachusetts. The first 2 days I got to head to Cape Cod, where I got to enjoy Cape Cod for the first time. But yeah, the first day I mainly did like the northern part of the Cape, where I went up to Provincetown. I made sure to go up to the top of the Pilgrim Monument there, which overlooks the city and the whole northern end of the Cape, which that was really impressive. And I got to check out some of the different beaches in Cape Cod. No chance of swimming though, because it would basically be a polar plunge. Because the North Atlantic can be quite cold, especially if it's April. And then the second day I was more like the southern part of the Cape, where I went to Hyannis and Chatham, Massachusetts. And again, no, not in Hyannis, but it was Provincetown. I had a really good lobster roll. In Chatham, I think that's what I had. I had like a lobster crab cake sandwich, which was quite tasty. And then the next day, I got to spend the day in Boston, where I got to have a lot of great food, especially some really good Chinese food I had in Chinatown. Like, that was good. I've had a cannoli from not only Modern Pastry, but Mike's Pastry, although Mike's Pastry went the following day. And just got to get reacquainted with one of my favorite cities in the United States, and also got to check JFK Museum for the first time, because I've always wanted to go check it out. So yeah, I did that. And then the next day I got to go to Walden Pond, which is located near Concord, Massachusetts. Which that was really cool. Got to see at least the site of where Henry David Thoreau had his cabin for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days when he spent time out there. It's like, if you ever read his novel or his book, Walden, it's basically about his experience there. So I did that. I got to meet up with I have a cousin who lives in the Boston area. I got to meet up with him and his wife for lunch. And then after that, I went back into Boston for a little bit more. And then yesterday, my last full day in Massachusetts, I got to go to Salem, Massachusetts, which I've always wanted to go there. It's a pretty cool state. A lot of interesting history there, especially with the Salem witch trials. And it's like, the city is really popular for what I've heard in October, just because of all the witch museums and all the Halloween-esque stuff. I should probably have some water, because I haven't had any since I started this video. That's better. Yeah, right now, yeah, we're going up in elevation a little bit. Just, it's like, what do you think of it? Because well, it's like, technically, when you're in the Boston area, when you're going through the Ted Williams Tunnel, you're below sea level, as it goes under the harbor. And once you get to the western part of the state, it's like you really start to climb up in elevation. Because the Berkshires, they're the first, I'd say, mountain range you drive through as you go west into the United States. And then, of course, once you get out toward the Albany area, then that's when you start getting over toward, like, the Catskills. Because, yeah, pretty much from here all the way to Syracuse, we got a lot of beautiful terrain. And then once you get to Syracuse, then it levels out a little bit. You still got like rolling hills, but not as rugged as it is over in eastern New York or western Massachusetts. And what's nice too with the Turnpike is that you got different service plazas. So if you need to fill up your gas tank or get some food or just stretch your legs, they got service plazas, so that way you don't have to get off the toll road. Although if you're needing to spend the night somewhere, you pretty much don't have a choice. Although I feel like for the Massachusetts Turnpike, it's not too big of a deal if you had to get off altogether. Because what is interesting with the Massachusetts Turnpike is that you don't have toll gantries at each entrance or exit. It's just at random spots on the highway itself. Compared to, let's say, the Ohio Turnpike, where, yeah, you got toll gantries for every entrance and exit. So that's where it can get a little bit more tedious. Especially if you don't have Easy Pass, which, yeah, I'm glad I got the Easy Pass. Although for Michiganders like me, where we don't have toll roads, except for like the Mackinac Bridge and all the international crossings over to Canada, we don't have to, or it's like we almost don't need the Easy Pass, because, yeah, they're not applicable for the Mackinac Bridge or any of the international bridges in Michigan. But it's like, yeah, once you get down to Ohio or Indiana and then make your way to the eastern part of the United States, yeah, you got a lot of toll areas. And yeah, this was bad timing. lane was ending at the service plaza. But yeah, now we've leveled that. If I can talk, leveled out in elevation. Okay, so the current mile marker is, we're almost to the 28 mile marker, so we got like another 28 miles to go in this video. So yeah, the crazy thing is we're not even halfway through this video yet. But yeah, again, I'm thankful with the really good weather, because like when I was planning this trip, I was like, I'm sure there's bound to be rain at least 1 or 2 of the days. So as I was trying to think about the days I wanted to go to different places and which days would work out okay if it would happen to be like there happened to be like a rain chance. But thankfully I lucked out with this trip, 0 rain. And the weather forecast for Boston, I think by Saturday night or Sunday, they're calling for rain. And then it's supposed to get back down to more seasonable temperatures. Because I'll be honest with you, it felt like summertime yesterday. But because with how warm the temperatures were, it did not feel like April. It felt like July. But maybe the only exception is I did not see any, or did not experience any summertime humidity. But yeah, for the tolls on the turnpike. So yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier, but yeah, the Massachusetts Turnpike is entirely cashless, so you don't have to stop at all. It's all electronic. So if you have the Easy Pass if you have the transponder mounted to your front windshield, it'll bill you against your Easy Pass account. But if you don't have an Easy Pass, they'll take a picture of your license plate and they'll send you a bill in the mail. So, but yeah, so they got three fares for going through each toll gantry. So the cheapest fare is if you have a Massachusetts-based Easy Pass, which that I do not have. And then it's a little bit more expensive, but not by much, if you have an out-of-state transponder like I have, because I got mine through Ohio. So you pay a little bit more, but you still get a pretty good discount. But if you don't have a transponder at all, then you pay the highest price, where you basically, again, you get a bill in the mail. And I think there might even be an option too, don't quote me on this though, where you might be able to look up your bill or something, where you can pay it before they even mail you. But that I don't know. I know you could do that for the New York State Thruway, and then for the Ohio Turnpike, that Ohio Turnpike still has toll booths. So like if you don't have, like in Ohio, if you don't have a Easy Pass, you do not want to be in the Easy Pass lanes. You will have to stop at a toll booth. So we're now in the city of Otis, although it's like, it looks anything but a city here. And we're now in Berkshire County. But yeah, I am glad I got the Easy like if I'm doing any road trips on the East Coast, it's like it's a good idea to have one just because of all the toll roads that they have in the Northeast as well as the Mid-Atlantic, or heck, even because it's starting to become a thing down in the Southeast United States too, because you can even use it down in Florida. And then like the eastern part of the Midwest too. It's like where, like, again, the Ohio Turnpike, the Indiana Toll Road, or even the toll bridge going over from Louisville, Kentucky, going over to Indiana. And then the Chicago Skyway, which is I-90, going west through Gary, Indiana, going over to Chicago. That's all. You can also use the Easy Pass for that too. But then once you get west of Chicago, like the Easy Pass is not a thing. Heck, toll roads aren't that much of a thing, except maybe in Texas, where Texas has its own system. But yeah, just having the discounts have been make the toll roads a little bit more affordable. So yeah, but unfortunately, it's like the terrain's not as interesting here as it was a little bit earlier, but it'll get better in a little while. How I know is that I researched the route a little bit before I started filming this, because again, as I said at the beginning of the video, I've never been in the western part of Massachusetts before. So this is all new to me. Because this is my third trip to New England, or road trip to New England, with my car. And the previous two road trips, well, the last one I did 2 years ago, I came back. I'm trying to remember how I did come back. Oh, that's right, yeah, because I was coming from New Hampshire, I cut through the southern part of Vermont, so I was thinking like mostly 2-lane highways, and then remember getting down toward like Bennington, Vermont, and then coming over into New York, north of Albany, but I think it was near like Saratoga Springs. Oh, we're at 1,724 feet. So we're at this is the highest point on Interstate 90 east of South Dakota. So that's really cool. So that pretty much means even going through the Catskills or going any part of through the heart of the Berkshires, we're not really seeing, or we're not be going up at any higher elevation than this. So in order to get any higher in elevation than this, you have to go all the way out to western South Dakota as you head out toward Rapid City, and then you go through like the Black Hills. Which, yeah, the Black Hills of South Dakota, that's a beautiful part of that state. Yeah, I remember road tripping out there 3 years ago. Black Hills are very impressive, or even like the Badlands, which are east of Rapid City. But yeah, it's like going back to the whole toll transponder. It's like whenever I'm just driving around in Michigan, it's not gonna be put to use at all. But I'll probably keep it on the windshield just because it's out of sight. Because yeah, you basically place it behind your rear view mirror for the rear view mirror, which looks to the back. And where I'm sitting in, of course, in the driver's seat, it's completely behind it, so it's like it's not even in sight. So I'll probably just keep it on, so that way I can easily get onto the Ohio Turnpike to go to like even just to Cleveland, because that'll be really helpful. we're starting to get into the Berkshires now. This is one part of Massachusetts I do need to check out sometime, because I've heard there's a lot of really nice hiking trails in this area. Yeah, I've had a very nice trip. But I'll be getting home tomorrow. I could technically get home tonight, but I figure why not just take my time and check out some cool stuff on my way home. Heck, I'm even contemplating on, when I'm in the Buffalo area, I might even stop over at the U.S. side of the Niagara Falls. Because I've not been to the New York side yet. Because I've only been to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, which I did that almost 5 years ago, and that's really impressive. And technically, the Canadian side is a lot better, but you still get some cool sights on the New York side. So I'm considering going there, like not planning to film it or anything, at least not this time. But I might consider checking that out maybe this evening if I can get to the Buffalo area early enough. This is really nice. It's got a nice little lake off to the right. Oh, I think that was the Appalachian Trail. The city of Lee, or at least the city limits. Yeah, I know the Appalachian Trail goes a long way, but I think I don't know exactly where it starts in the southern part of the United States. It's either in the state of Georgia or maybe even, I think it may even start in Alabama. If not Alabama, for sure Georgia. And then it comes all the way up this way, and it goes all the way up to Maine. I don't know if it ends in Maine or if it continues up into like New Brunswick or something. New Brunswick, and that going up into the maritime provinces of Atlantic Canada. But yeah, as I am wrapping up this trip, it's like I'm already starting to think about my next trips coming up. It's like other than a weekend, like a long weekend trip up to northern Michigan around Memorial Day weekend, and then the big trip I'm doing in early September, don't have anything else scheduled yet. There's some different trips I do have in mind though, which I'm not going to say anything yet because, well, they're not planned yet. But yeah, I might try to do like a long weekend trip sometime in July, and then probably maybe do some random weekend trips. I do need to get to Philadelphia sometime because there's a lot of great food in Philadelphia. And I know it's more than just the cheesesteaks there. Philadelphia, I can easily do that on a weekend. Like maybe go out there and do like a restaurant tour or a food tour or something. And of course, while I'm at, check out all the different historical sites too, because Philadelphia is where the United States officially was born, because that was where the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776. Although most people in the colonies didn't even know about it until well after that, because it's not like you had the internet back then. You didn't have, and you didn't have like Facebook or anything like that. It's like, hey, it's like the United States just declared independence from Great Britain today. days or weeks later that the announcement of the Declaration of Independence was announced to the citizens of Boston from the old State House there. So yeah, here we got the exit for Highway 20 for Lee and for Pittsfield. And yeah, I think there's only one more exit in the state of Massachusetts between here and the state line. Yeah, this is really pretty out here. At the Housatonic River. I think it's Housatonic. Got another toll gantry here. We'll probably see one more in the state of Massachusetts after this one. One thing I will say though is that yeah, the tolls on the Massachusetts Turnpike, at least for what I've driven on, the prices aren't all that bad. So I am quite impressed with the prices, that they're not gouging here by any means. Because I know, like with the Pennsylvania Turnpike, especially if you're going west from the Pennsylvania-Ohio border all the way to Philadelphia, you need to have an easy pass if you want to drive on that thing. Because otherwise, without the easy pass, you're spending, to cross the entire state, you're going to be spending around $90 to cross the whole state. Where if you have the easy pass, no matter from which state you get it from what I was researching online, you get a significant discount. Or let's just say you can get a, if you get the easy pass, you cross through the state of Pennsylvania, for the price of not having an easy pass, you can basically, or think if you have the easy pass, to break even with the price of not having easy pass, you could pay for to cross the whole Pennsylvania Turnpike and then get a fancy dinner in New York City. It's like the discounts are that significant. That's generally right. If you're going from Ohio to New York City, you definitely want to take Interstate 80, because Interstate 80 is free through the state of Pennsylvania, where Interstate 76 is not. Yep, and we're now entering Stockbridge, Massachusetts. Again, just the general city or town limits, because it does not look like we're in a city right now from the view of the turnpike. So again, as I was saying earlier in the video, once you cross over to New York, this becomes the New York State Thruway, but just the Berkshire connector, which then goes about like another like 20 to 25 miles, and then it links up with the main New York State Thruway. Because the New York State Thruway technically begins in the northern part of the New York City area, west of the so I think technically, because it starts north of New York City, and then of course then you have to cross over the Tappan Zee Bridge, and then it continues north along Interstate 87 until Albany, and then it links up with Interstate 90. And of course the New York State Thruway goes west through the whole state, goes south from Buffalo all the way over to Pennsylvania, on the way to Erie, Pennsylvania. But yeah, we only have 6 more miles to go in this video. Was to go to a Red Sox game at Fenway Park. Red Sox were playing away the entire time. I think their first home game in a while is tonight. So I think this past week they were playing down in Tampa Bay. And then last weekend, heck, they're in Detroit. So it's like if I wanted to see the Sox play, it's like I almost could have stayed home and gone to a game at Comerica Park in Detroit. But the whole experience is about going to Fenway Park, which is, I think, the oldest operating Major League Baseball park, with Wrigley Field being right behind it. Which, yeah, funny enough, I got to see the Red Sox play the Cubs at Wrigley Field last year when I went to Chicago. But yep, had a great time in Massachusetts. I can't wait to return again at some point. But yeah, I do need, even if I just fly, I do need to make trips to Boston more often, like at least once a year. So I always enjoy going to the city, check out different restaurants, see some cool things, and maybe I'll get lucky the next time I go that the Red Sox will be playing at home. I can check out a game at Fenway. If I really wanted a sports experience, I actually could have gone to a Bruins game.
There's a speed trap ahead.
Because the Bruins are playing one night. However, like the prices for a Bruins game are pretty expensive. Because yeah, hockey is a lot more expensive of a sport to watch than baseball. So it's like, but yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a lot more expensive to go to games at the Garden than it is at Fenway. So, and this is the last exit in Massachusetts. And this is the Williams River. Yeah, this is such a beautiful drive, and I'm glad I'm going west right now because it looks like it's down to one lane going the opposite direction, but the traffic's pretty light, so it's not all that bad. So, as I was saying at the beginning of the video, I'm only going to the Massachusetts-New York state line. So yeah, I'll get ready to wrap up the video in about a minute. But if you have not been to Massachusetts yet, you need to make a trip to Massachusetts. It's a very, very beautiful state. Lots of great history, lots of hiking trails, lots of great food, especially on the coast if you love lobster. Lobster or clam chowder. Or heck, I think I had some chowder at one of the restaurants in Hyannis, which I think it was a quahog chowder instead of clam chowder. But it was very similar though, and it was absolutely delicious. Alright, so I'm going to start getting ready to wrap up the video here. So hope you enjoyed this video here on the Massachusetts Turnpike or Interstate 90 going from I-495 all the way to the Massachusetts-New York state border. And as a treat for you guys, coming up next week, Thursday, we're going to have a part 2 because I'm going to be filming Interstate 90 from the Massachusetts-New York state line all the way to Interstate 87 in the Albany area. So make sure to click that subscribe button so that way you don't miss that video, and also to come along and join me for the adventure. And don't forget to click that notification bell so that way you know when a new video goes live. Well, thank you for watching, and this is Scott, or the Scottman895 here from the Massachusetts